Rabbi, where are you going to stand so I could just... Are you okay there? Let me just try to just move this over. Okay, when you're ready, I am. Want to test?
Rabbi Zach will begin by reciting Ms. Morley.
David, Adonai Roi lo echsar bin odesha yarbitzeni al me menuchot yina'aleni. Nafshi yeshovev yalcheni b'maglei tzedek leman shemo. Gam ki elech begates al movet lo ira ra ki ata imadi. Shivtecha mishantecha hema yenachamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged someroi. Dishanta b'shem en roshi kosi riva ya. Tova chesed yidafuni kol yemei chayai Shavti b'beit Adonai la'orech yamim. Song of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Scepter and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for length of days.
Brittany will now share some words about her sister.
Generous, kind heart. There's nothing she wouldn't do for me. She was so devoted and loving. Whenever I came home, after being away for a while, you can be sure that I was met with a big bear hug and a shower of kisses. So yes, I knew who Rosie really was, and I loved her so much. But of course, that was just because we had that special bond that twins often share. I never realized that everyone else saw these qualities in her too. It hit me during these last few tragic days of her life when she became so gravely ill. Ariel had created a Tehillim chat, and for 2 days straight, my phone buzzed constantly until late at night, as everyone kept claiming capitals of Tehillim to say for her. I was bombarded with phone calls about her condition, and the strong reactions to the news of her passing were an eye-opener to me. I always thought she was just my personal angel, but clearly so many others felt the same way. She never complained about her hardships that were brought to her, and there were many. I never heard her say, "Why me?" In fact, one of her greatest hardships was her greatest joy. Rosie passionately loved her Yossi, her Yossi, her Yossi. She was so looking forward to Pesach, making Pesach for him. For the last few years, she had been leading the Pesach Seders and tried to create a beautiful Seder table because traditions and aesthetics mattered to her, and she wanted to make it special for Yossi too. Yossi wasn't the only recipient of Rosie's generosity and devotion. When my father was older and suffered from dementia, Rosie worked so hard to support and help out with cooking and housework. And since my father's passing, Rosie has been an emotional support and a devoted daughter to my mother too. She was a daughter and a friend to her. And of course, all of her beloved nieces and nephews and grandnieces and nephews were tenderly spoiled with her many gifts of hand-crocheted mittens, hats, scarves, and blankets. And as I sat in the ICU right after Rosie died, I looked out the window and saw a steady, gentle rain. It was so appropriate, as though the world was crying for the loss of such a sweet, sweet soul. Yet last night, when I learned that the day of her Levaya would be so freezing cold, I couldn't make sense of it. As I looked around the house and saw Rosie's beautiful handiwork, it dawned on me. This was the perfect opportunity for Rosie to give out her one last gift. To my dearest Rosie, know that my birthday will never, ever be the same. I will never have you be the first to rush to the phone to wish me a happy birthday, and it will always feel as though a part of me has broken away. And Yossi, I want you to say goodbye to your mommy.
Bye, Mommy.
I want you to tell her you love her.
I love you.
And I want you to sing that song that she always sang to you, You're My Sunshine.
You're my sunshine, the only sunshine. Be happy, that's okay. Never know, dear, how much I love you. So take my sunshine away.
We come together today to mourn the passing of Rose Mahalli, Shoshana Bat Avraham, a beloved daughter, sister, and mother. One of the four sons we discuss at the Seder is the Tam, normally described as the simple son. But the Meforshim point out that the word Tam is connected to the word Tamid, which means wholehearted, pure, and complete. The Tam at the Seder is genuine and pure, without any need for complication. Some may have looked at Rose and saw a simple person, but those who knew her grasped immediately that she was Tamid. Rose was born in 1965. She and her twin had two older brothers. As a child, she was precocious and happy. However, these early years of her life gave way to struggle when Rose was diagnosed with epilepsy at age 7. She was born into a world that was still struggling to understand this disorder and recognize the gifts that those who had it possessed. Teachers and medication sometimes dampened her spirit. However, she remained an extraordinarily bright girl, with parents who attended to her every need. We were to go and educate teachers about her daughter's needs and abilities. And Rose learned to read and write, do math, even when some doubted that she would. This love of learning continued throughout her life. She became passionate about crocheting, taking on more and more intricate stitches as the years went on. Rose's family was extraordinarily close. One of the high points of her life was traveling with her parents, Gerda and Abraham, on a trip to Israel to celebrate their anniversary. She was also close with all of her siblings, Bernard, Ben, and Rita. Rose was also deeply devoted to her son. He always loved to hear her make Kiddush on Friday night, and her dedication to family extended beyond her immediate family. nieces, nephews, and cousins were always treated to crocheted items as birthdays or due dates approached. And she had a special place in her heart for family members who had struggles of their own. May roses to be moot and dedication to family be an inspiration for us all. May her memory be a blessing. David Seltzer will now recite the Mahalli Memorial Prayer.
El Malay Rachamim, Shoched V'Amrami, Hamitzei Minicha Nichana, Kanpei HaShechina, Malos Kiroshim Tehamim, Kizoar Harakia, Ma'asirim, Estishmas Shoshana Bas Avraham, Babur Shanachnu Mispaladim, Biad Haskaras Nishmasa, Biganedet Hem Nuchasa, Lachem Baharachamim, Yasireh B'Seser Kinafa Piyod Labim, Bitzror Bitzorachayim Es Nishmasa, Adonai Hunachalasa, Bisadu Ach Shalom Mishkava, B'Nomar Amen. Full of passion, dwells on high. Grant proper repose, the sheltering wings of your presence. The lofty levels of the holy and pure shine as the brightness of the firmament. Unto the soul of Shoshana, daughter of Abraham, who has gone to her world, for whose memory we pray. May her repose be in paradise. May the Master of compassion bring her under the cover of God's wings, and bind her soul in the body. May the Lord be her heritage, and may she repose on her resting place in peace. Let us respond. Amen.
Now begin the process of interment. This is our opportunity to say our final goodbye to Rose. It's something our tradition terms a message of a true act of kindness, because this is indeed burying someone that, of course, the person can never repay to you. So we'll begin with the family. We'll do the first shovel fills, and then everyone will have an opportunity to take part in this important mitzvah. Because this is something that we don't want to do, though it's something we have to do, we don't hand the shovel off from one person to another. When you're done shoveling, just place the shovel back into the dirt